Got to talk about that chain, dog. And no, we're not talking about that drip you got waiting for you down at the jewelry store.
Practice. Not a game, not a game, not a game. We talking about practice. How the hell can I make my teammates better by practice? In my opinion, that's
Today, we got my daughter's trinket here, a little chain that I pulled from her room to use as an example for today, because administrative process is really just chain of custody. Imagine that this chain is you and your adversary playing tug of war. We've all seen enough crime shows to know that chain of custody is everything for the prosecutor who needs to build that case. Physical evidence has to align to chain of custody when you're doing an investigation. Same thing with your documents, what we call it administrative process. Using the green cards, using the PS 3811, notarizing your affidavits. These are all components of a proper chain of custody for your admin process. The moment you decide to pick up that admin process and start controlling the contract, that's what you're doing. Whoever controls the admin process controls the contract. And your adversary, your creditors, are constantly pulling on that chain and bringing the prize to them. Right? If the prize is in the middle, you want to bring that prize to you, right? You want to be constantly pulling on that chain and controlling the contract. And every signature that you get on a PS 3811, that green signature card, one of these are key to get back, because this means the contract continues. If you got this back with their signature, they signed the contract. They conditionally accepted your presentment the moment that the Postal Service took the item. And then when they signed for it and sent that green card back to you, you have proof that the contract continues. So you've grabbed that chain of custody and now you're pulling it. You're pulling it in your direction. So keeping your administrative process tight and tidy maintains chain of custody for your documents, aka administrative process. So the first thing we do with administrative process is make sure our docs are notarized. The cover page, the letter of intent that you're showing to balance the books or discharge the debt or deposit the bearer security, whatever you're doing needs to be notarized. It's not a fact unless there's a witness. And the best witness to get that's available is the notary. The history of the notary is the notary used to validate and verify, read the king's documents and sign on the king's behalf sometimes. So the notary can come in and is actually acting at a higher level of authority than the judge. Just like when you cross through the postage stamp and make yourself the postmaster of that piece of mail, you've now elevated the authority higher than the judge in the courtroom. That document is now protected by the UPU. And you're the postmaster of that mail, and that gives you authority over that presentment to see that it meets its destination for performance. The postage stamp makes it both currency and mail, and both are protected federally and internationally. And so it makes it more likely that your instrument will make it to its destination for performance, thus helping maintain a nice, tidy, and tight chain of custody. You're pulling on that chain of custody. Somebody's pulling on it at any given time. Make sure it's you. The next one is signing your documents without recourse. People get hung up on this. What does it actually mean? It means you don't have to perform. It means, hey, it seems like you want my signature pretty bad, and I guess I'll give it to you, but under the condition that the moment I give you this signature, it's without recourse. You do whatever you want with it, but I don't have to perform. You want to give me the car? Great. But without recourse means that I don't have to perform on this contract. Is it a silver bullet for everything? No, not at all. It would still take enforcement and proper administrative process around that to finally get it to the end, where you're able to hand over your administrative process. Your chain of custody goes to the court, to the judge, to say, hey, everything's all nice and tidy, just like you like it. And you may not even need to go to court at that point because your administrative process was tight enough. Your chain of custody was maintained, and you pulled it all the way onto your side, and now they're not willing to admit it, your adversary, so you need the judge to come in and validate your chain of custody and that you indeed pulled the prize over to your side. So you've got your notarized affidavits. The notarization is key because it's not a fact unless there's a witness. And once you've put your notarized affidavit out there, that's your evidence, that's your truth. And you need to make sure your truth makes it to the destination. And unless you have a nice tight chain of custody, you can't prove that your truth made it to the destination. And so whoever controls the green cards is the one that controls the contract. Just remember that. Whoever controls the chain of custody is now controlling the contract. And it's just a matter of you proving that. And it's very hard to prove any of those things if you've let your chain of custody break. So keep that administrative process nice and tight, and we'll see you on the next one.